Magic in the morning, 24 minutes in front of 9 o'clock. Mike Barrett, we told you, in the studio this morning. First off, Mike, how fresh is that cup of coffee?
Very fresh.
Okay.
And very hot.
Yes.
Better than the 1 degree that it is in St. J right now. So,
well, I just want to go into this. Has nothing to do with what we're about to talk about, but I was thinking about it this morning when we were all little kids and the bullies on the street would say, "Hey, I dare you to put your tongue on that railing."
I heard you talking to Mark about that at 7:20, and I'm like, do you not remember the Christmas Story that runs 24 hours for Christmas Day? I mean, that's one of my favorite parts of that movie is when that poor kid is stuck out there and the fire department shows up, and you must remember the scene, right?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I gotta say, if I was to really think about it, I might be guilty as charged in my younger years of trying.
Yeah, getting your tongue stuck on a frozen railing. Anyways, we thought we'd lighten things up with that humor this morning. All right, so we talk insurance, and Barrett Insurance Agency really has you covered no matter what your needs are. We've talked about scheduling things onto your insurance, Mike, like valuables, heirlooms. We've talked about the planning for the end of life and where properties and possessions are going to go. Mm-hmm. But something we have not spoken about in a very long time is for our business owners out there or folks that are in need of coverage for a form of income. Something we've not talked about is workers' compensation in quite a while. What do you say we dive into that?
That's a good idea. Workers' compensation is a necessary evil if you are a business owner with any employee. Not employees, but employee. The second you are a business owner and you have somebody working for you, in Vermont, New Hampshire, there's protection for employees, right? And workers' compensation is a requirement. The Vermont Department of Labor monitors and can assess fines for those who do not maintain workers' compensation for their employees. So it really is a necessary evil.
I have a question then, okay? Because you were very specific. You said if you have an employee, not just employees, plural.
Right.
So what if Joe has a little handyman job that he's doing? Is it required for Joe himself?
So that's the beautiful part is if you are self-employed, you are not required to carry workers' compensation. Sometimes people who are contractors who get to certain levels of work, maybe they're trying to bid a larger job that's being handled by a larger company, maybe a corporation or somebody that's really following things by the rule book. They may require you, even as a sole person with no employees, to have workers' compensation. And that's because even as a contractor working for them, they want to have substantial proof that they're not going to be held accountable for your injury on the job.
Now, would that be considered a subcontracted?
It's a subcontracted thing, but sometimes you need, as a contractor who's hiring subcontractors, to provide confirmation that they have their own insurance. There are workers' compensation policies out there that you can literally, I'm not kidding when I tell you this, you can literally buy it and exclude yourself and pay the minimum premium, and you are thereby on paper trail saying, yeah, I don't want coverage in workers' comp. So that way, for taking those big jobs that require that kind of form, you're covered. But really, the biggest part of what I wanted to kind of delve into today is just the need for it. There are certain situations where it's not required. You know, in the world of agriculture, farming, it's not necessarily as enforced as it is in all other realms of the world of business. Does that mean you shouldn't, as a farmer, have it? No, it means you probably should at least consider it, because that you're still going to be held accountable if somebody sustains an injury in the course of working for you. But I've had people tell me, well, I've been told not to get workers' comp and just to do contractors, just to do subs for everything that I'm doing. I missed the webinar. There was a webinar a few weeks ago that my wife was on. I wish she was here. She'd tell us all about it. But there's long been a discussion in Vermont about how that dividing line really occurs between a subcontractor and employee. You know, subcontractor is somebody who's coming in and doing a set of things for you. But if you're in charge of their hours, you're in charge of their pay, you're in charge of, telling them what, where, and when, man, that really blurs the line as to whether they're a contractor or an employee. So you really need to consider that. Different types of businesses need to pay different prices, as you would expect. If I'm an office jockey and I'm sitting at a desk all day, I'm paying very little compared to somebody who is working on vehicles or out in the field, tending to fields and farming and working the cows and milking the cows, or logging, or a utility worker, or anything else, or contractors for that matter, carpentry, roofing. But it really is something that you should look into.
All right. So my question is, I've started up a business and I've got 2 employees. Now, when we talk about automobile insurance, there are minimum amounts of coverage. Okay, X number of dollars for this, that, and everything else.
Right.
When it comes to workers' compensation, are there similar requirements that you have to have this minimum coverage, or is it more blanket?
I think it's more as long as you have the policy. There are different limits. There's different it's called split limit coverage, where it's a limit for injury on the job, a limit for disease, and an injury, a limit for total disease. I don't have it in my head this morning. I should have more coffee. But there is that, but it's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than just those 3 limits that you will see in a policy. It's about properly protecting somebody so that if they have been injured on the job, they get the rightful indemnification that they should get. And one big key thing, and I noticed this a lot with a lot of companies, especially ones that we work with, is that every year you're going to have to complete an audit. So if I bought I'm going to use myself as an example. We bought my father out, and we became the official owners of Barrett Insurance January 1 of 2015. So January 1 to January 1 is my policy period. And always at that time, at renewal, I get my audit form. What do I have to do? I have to provide, including the 941s, which are the quarterly employee payroll reports, what I paid for payroll for the year, because that's how it's rated. And so you have to do that every year. Some companies have introduced non-cooperative audit fees, which are hefty. So you're always much better off completing that. I completed ours for Barrett Insurance just a few weeks ago, and darn it, I have to pay more money because what I was paying for my premium last year is based on X amount of dollars for payroll, and we had a little bit more payroll with a person who came to work for us. So I had to pay a little more in workers' comp premium. But always do your audit. It is the best course of action.
Well, the common denominator, as with all of our conversations, is have it, you need it, keep yourself protected.
Right. Just asking the right questions, or asking any question for that matter. It can be the wrong question, although there's no such thing. Just inform yourself so that you're not found in a situation where you don't have what you needed.
All right. I think it was a good time to do this because, to talk about the workers' comp requirements and the importance of it. We have a lot of businesses that are starting up around here.
Yeah.
You've noticed that.
I love it. It's awesome to see. And, workers' compensation should be a crucial part. A lot of people do their due diligence, like, okay, what's it going to cost for me to do this? Make sure workers' compensation is part of that process. The more employees that you have, the more payroll that you have going out, the more expensive the policy is going to be. I'll tell you, for a desk jockey, it's about 18 to 27 cents per $100 of payroll is what the cost of a work comp policy is. So something to think about.
Well, and it's something that employees are looking at, too, when they're looking for a job.
Yeah, you need it.
If anyone has questions about this or any of their insurance needs.
Yeah, give us a call, 748-5224. You can find us on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Just look for Barrett Insurance Agents.
All right, and join us Tuesdays at 8:35, and we'll share more with you. Coming up, Lainey Gardner, Magic in the Morning with Better Luck Next Guy.